How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Fourever Arsenal podcast. Usually at this point, I say hope you're all well, but we know what it is already. It's Sunday morning, the morning after our first loss of the Premier League season, 24-25, 2-0 away to Bournemouth, a shock one for us all. 99.9% of the fan base included in that. But yeah, we sit here on the same points as before Bournemouth away. With Liverpool in a few hours with the chance to make it 4 points and City to make it 3 points, the lead at the top. But we move, we talk as usual. People hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, notification bell on, and the individual channels as well are floating about. So support them if you want. If you want to hear from any of us individually, go over. We're doing nothing individually. But let's move and get into it, because I don't think this is one for any small talk before the big talk. I think the big talk comes first in this one. And yeah, the big talk is we've lost 2-0 to Bournemouth. I mean, I'm always tempted to start with Lee, but I also know Lee had a late night last night, whether that's because of the Arsenal result, he couldn't sleep, and the anger and frustrations. But we've also got Jordan here, who I'm also intrigued to hear about. But Lee, the atmosphere, the way, I mean, international break, was it everything that it was meant to be before kickoff?
Yeah, everybody buzzing for it before the game. Looking forward to getting back to watching the Arsenal. And one of the reasons when people say to me, "Oh, do you enjoy the international break?" and I can't stand it. One of the reasons that I do is because I know that weekend that the internationals are on, I'm going to have a good time, whatever happens. Don't care. Don't care if England lose. Don't care if Ireland lose, Turkey or whatever. But come yesterday, I care. I care. And weekend completely and utterly messed up. Thank you, Mr. Catering Arteta. And that's what he did yesterday. He became a caterer. And he come on the telly yesterday. I was intrigued to what he was going to say. And he turned around and said, "Oh, there was 2 big mistakes today." Well, let me tell you, Mikel, there was 3. Your team selection was the biggest mistake of all. You catering for I don't know why you done it, but listen, another thing that really annoys me is a lot of fans, every time I see a fan, sometimes, do you know what they ask me? Like, the question is, like, if we don't win a trophy, he's got to go, Lee, and he's got to go. And I argue the case. Yesterday, he gave every single fan that thinks that the ammo for that. And I look at them now, and fans, we've lost 1 game, boys, and fans online and everything can't wait to mention about how poor a manager he is and we ain't going to get us over the line. And I'm sitting there yesterday after that decision yesterday to cater Marino into that side. I'm tending to agree with them, and it winds me up. It winds me up that I'm thinking that, because I'm thinking to myself, Are you ruthless enough? I've seen you ruthless enough. I've seen you ruthless on decisions. But when it mattered, when you should have been ruthless for the 3 points, you catered. You went down the road, which you should never have gone down. Playing midfield, you've got a player like a kid that can play that role. And you put in a midfield player you've never seen do it. And the performance up to the sending half was as bad or maybe even worse than it was at Fulham last season. And that's what hurts me, boys. That is what hurts. You're going to lose games. It's how you lose games. And like Fulham last year was, let's learn our lessons from that. And we haven't. It was a shocking performance. Don't hide behind the fact of the sending off. I know that it does come into play at the end of the day. But before that sending off, I was sitting there going, we haven't had a shot yet. We don't look like scoring. What is going on here? It was all over the place and the sending off. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. Please tell me. When he got sent off, I wasn't worried about that game. I was saying, oh, no, he ain't about for Liverpool now. I still thought what was going on to win that game yesterday. I never see that coming. But
I didn't because of the first 30 minutes. I tweeted that I expected to win because those should be the standards, that you don't just go down to 10 men shouldn't drastically change the way the game should go. For the first
100%.
30 minutes, we weren't winning that with 11. But you're right. I get what you're saying. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in on that. The minute we went down to 10, the way we played that first 30, right?
No, I agree. We wasn't going to win the game, you know, and it was down to him. It was down to that team selection. He even turned around and said, "Oh, we was the first 15 minutes. We didn't really know what we was doing and all that. Like, try 30 minutes." And you know, and I'm sorry, you know what I mean? It has to. That performance yesterday starts with the manager. Yes, you can blame players and things like that. That started with his team selection. And also, then when you've messed up and we've got a sending off, right, you have a decision to make. Again, he makes the wrong one. No, you know, Sterling, I'm sorry, I don't know if he's going to be good enough for Arsenal or whatever, like, but I thought he was doing okay. You've got to have a bit of pace in the team, boys, when you go down to 10 men. You've got to. And he takes him off, losing all of our pace. Havertz was isolated. Another mistake. I know it's hindsight, but I swear I turned around and said, he's got to take Trossard off here. I honestly thought, so you know, someone in the stand was going at me, he's got to do this. I said, no, go, don't do anything. Go to back three and go for, you know, keep it solid. Nothing changes. Keep it solid and go and win this game of football. They're not causing us no problems. It was just a shocking day all round. And it does worry me now if he is going to be, you know, listen, we can't go overboard. It's one game, and that's what I'm going to try and do. But when you hear people constantly saying, if you don't win nothing, this is why. This is that game yesterday is why those fans say it. And it really frustrates me, but I haven't got no comeback on it, boys. I haven't. I'm so annoyed with him yesterday. And we get on to the sending off. For me, I've seen it 5-6 times now. Letter of the law, it's a sending off, boys. You know what I mean? He had to go. You know.
Yeah. I'm actually glad, Lee, because last night I was up late as well. So I saw your story unfold, let's say, where at the beginning, the first message I read on the way home, I was like, Lee, I hope we don't start tomorrow morning with, you know, the referees, you know, done it again. And then 2 hours later, you've been like, I've watched it again and it's a red, because that was a red card. I don't think we need to debate referees today whatsoever. That was
the ref was good.
He was actually
good. The ref was good.
Well, actually, no, because he gave a yellow when it should have been a red.
True.
The VAR and the rest.
But you could understand, though, you know, in the split second, he
actually, I take that back. He was good because he was sensible. He didn't jump in, and then VAR told him.
No, listen, exactly that. Do you know what? And I need to say this. I think, right, and this is my personal opinion, right? I think because of the last couple of cards that we've had go against, you know, they were very, very controversial. I honestly thought he may have thought, oh, I'll give it a yellow here because it could be a red here, but if I go in here, you know, and there's someone coming around, it could be a game. I think that he went cautious on that, and people were like in the crowd, like going at, and I said, hold on a minute, the ref give a yellow card. It wasn't him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've looked at it, and I think maybe that had come into the play. Oh, we've given him a couple of dodgy decisions. Right decision. Sloppy play from Trossard. Sloppy from Saliba again. You know what I mean? Like he was sloppy for the goal against Southampton. And as I said against the Southampton game, and I'll tell you what, we got a lot of negative things in the comments about those performances. This was coming. We've all said it. We've all said it with the way we're playing. This is going, oh, you're negative, you're middle negative on this, like that. No, we're not. We're realists. We know when we're not playing well, and we know when it's coming. And that yesterday has been, as Mikel said, and an accident waiting to happen. I was hoping he was going to say, not on the sending offs, on our performances, because they've got to improve.
Yeah, it's a big shame. It's actually a big shame because, listen, let's get into it because we've got so much to discuss that, you know, considering the time we have and whatnot, I want us to really get our teeth into some of the concerns, some of the problems. And it starts with, I guess, from Lee's side of things, the lineup and you know, the midfield, the forward line. I don't think there was much concern defensively, even with Timber out, Ben White coming back in, who in my opinion didn't have a great game, but we can get onto all the not so great games shortly. But the starting lineup, James. What did you initially think about it?
So just very quickly. Firstly, I'm a bit hungover.
I understand.
Secondly, it's my birthday today. Yay. And thirdly, as you know, Turkish, I had a recent kind of family thing that kind of puts life into perspective. So for anyone who thinks I'm going to come here and, well, let me put it this way. When I try to pull out the positives, the kind of stuff that gives life a little bit of perspective, don't go nuts on me in the comments. I'm just not going to let this game ruin my weekend.
Nah. Nor should you let it. Nor should
it's
you
just things happen, right? Arsenal had a bad day. So yeah, I wanted to get that context out there because you know what people could be like, how are you settling for this? Blah blah. No, guys, there's bigger things in life. So I want to say that. Now, despite that, Arsenal were shit. Arsenal were very shit.
Yeah.
And thoroughly deserved that defeat. Or like we were bad. And I think Arteta was bad on the day. Now you asked about the 11. It takes me back to a debate me and you have had, Turkish, and I've been desperate to be right. I really, really, and I don't think it's settled yet, but I really, really want to be right that the squad's in a good place. My argument for it was, in the absence of an Ødegaard, a player as good as Ødegaard, Trossard has done the business, but then you've even got a Waneri to call on. The minute you put Marino there, and I understand some people's argument that he's played there for Spain, okay, but let's be honest, it looked very unfamiliar to him. That was really worrying for me from Arteta. That was the only way I believe this squad's in good shape is if the nearest profile, the heir to Ødegaard in terms of profile, if he can get some minutes in a situation in which you're starting two for that position, Ødegaard and Trossard can't, because of course Martinelli wasn't fit to start, so Trossard went to the left. If he can't start in that situation to the point where you basically have to end up with 3 6s on the pitch, now I'm concerned. Now I'm really concerned. And then to add to that, Sterling, who is a signing I've backed from the perspective of I'd rather get him than no one, and maybe he can do a job, when actually there was a job to do against, with 10 men, maybe some space to exploit, and he could have offered something different. And by the way, I thought made a perfectly bright start to the game, and you've taken him off. Those are 2 players that I'm hoping you're backing to make an impact in this squad, and you didn't. So I was really concerned by the 11. I'll be honest, I saw the 11 and I thought this is going to be strange. I wasn't overly negative about it, but I was really surprised. And as I watched the game unfold, I went, yeah, you've had a bit of a nightmare with this one, Arteta.
Yeah, I assume we all still expected the win even with the shocks in the lineup, Jordan.
Yes. I mean, first of all, that's my invincible shout out the window. That one's done. Second of all, happy birthday, mate.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day and a good weekend. And as you should not let Arsenal ruin your weekend.
Yeah.
If I could just, before I answer your question, Turkish, just kind of go back to some of Lee's points. So I think you're right to start on Mikel Arteta. I don't have any time for these people that 1 minute Mikel Arteta is better than Unai Emery, and then the next minute, if he doesn't win a trophy, he's got to be sacked. I have no time for that, because what if he comes third and wins the Champions League? What then? What are you going to do then? That's a trophy. So this whole he's got to win a trophy or he's got to go, like, that debate can happen. I'm sure it will happen, and maybe it's legitimate. I'm not interested in that debate. So, like, we'll deal with that at the end of the season.
Is it a possible reality for you though, come May?
I think it's a fair discussion to have.
Okay,
At 5 years, no trophy, a club like Arsenal is not good enough.
Yeah, so but you don't want to entertain it now. It's early.
Yeah, I just think it's people reacting, and I think, I don't know if it was Lee or James said, I think it's people that just, I've never been convinced about him. I've been looking for any little thing to just let that out. So, like, just if you don't rate him, just say you don't rate him. It's fine. Don't tell me he's a genius at Man City at the Etihad with 10 men, and then we lose to Bournemouth. And I've got no time for those idiots online. So that's the second thing. However, let's start with him. He got it all wrong. He got many things wrong yesterday. He wasn't good enough yesterday. The 11 was odd. To play 3 6s was weird. That was, I don't know what he was trying to do with that. A couple of points that have already been flagged. The whole Saliba red card issue. It's not a debate. I don't understand why it's getting so much traction. It's a clear red. It's a clear red. I'm hearing people, oh, Ben White might have covered. It's just stop being biased for a second and accept it's a red. If it's the other way around, we are saying it's a clear red. I don't understand why people debate. Oh, I'm seeing online. Oh, yeah, but maybe it's a red. I remember Jamie Carragher saying once a few years ago, he doesn't understand why more centre-backs don't allow the striker to just go through. Because in that scenario, Saliba just letting him go through one-on-one is basically saying, who was the striker? Who was the forward that went through? Emma Nelson. He's basically saying to Emma Nelson, all right, have you got the bottle to put it away under pressure? Don't laugh. I saw Turkish and James both had smoking there. I see you both smoking there.
Lee Judge is special, don't worry.
Shut up.
Let's call him Janilson.
Or secondly, and more importantly, he's saying, David, help me out here, mate. Can you help me out here? I'm in a bit of a hole. Can you help me out here? Look, if he scores, as the striker should score, you're 1-0 down, but you have 11 men. He says, unless it's a cup final in the 89th minute, or it's the last game of the season you have to win, just let him go through. Just let him go through, take the goal, we go again. We can overcome a 1-0 deficit against Bournemouth, despite playing poorly. So that came to mind. Saliba, just let him through. Just let him go. Because the repercussions are, we're down to 10 men, we're away from home, and you're missing the Liverpool game now. I'd rather just go 1-0 down.
I just think it's just... I'm not here to defend Saliba because trust me, he's at fault for this. Not as much as Trossard is, but he's at fault for this for sure. But I can excuse on the pitch, having been on the pitch in some way, shape, or form, a split-second decision where you think, shit, he's got a yard on me, one little touch, and then bang. And then it costs you everything. So with that, it's Trossard I'm more upset with in that.
I'm with you, Turkish. Yeah. I'm not blaming Saliba per se. I'm just saying it made me think in that scenario, you're better just letting him go through.
100%.
Evan Nilsson is not bloody prime R9. He could miss that.
Can I jump in on that very quickly? Sorry.
Of course you can.
Like, I actually respectfully disagree, guys. Trossard plays a bad pass, but I think that can happen. Like, you can play a bad pass in a game. Like, I think what Saliba did was inexcusable.
Yeah, I'm with you, James.
Inexcusable. I love him. Please don't move to Madrid. And, you're starting once you're back, obviously. But I think he had a shocker there, Saliba.
If Mustafi would have done that, or Kolasinac, or someone like that, he would have been hammered, James. It's because it's Saliba. He's getting a pass on it. I'm with you.
No.
Don't give him a pass on it. No, he's good enough to let him to outrun him as well, and he's done it in the past. He was lazy yesterday.
I think your comparison, Lee, with if that's Mustafi, the difference is that's every third game, Mustafi. Saliba's not. That's not common for Saliba.
Oh, yeah. I forgive him.
I expect better from him. Yeah.
I guess what I mean is it's forgivable. Like I love him. I feel no differently about Saliba today. You had a shitter, and okay, on we go. But in terms of the blame for the moment, like Trossard played a bad pass. I think that can happen, and like the worst that happens from a bad pass, maybe they score. But I think to do something in the moment that was always going to guys, it's cost us this game, and it's put us in a difficult situation for Liverpool. Like it's a massive error from Saliba, and I know we all love him, and I know he's made so few of them that, in fact, that's probably his worst error in an Arsenal shirt. That we want to just kind of forgive him, and listen, that's where I am. But I just say differ on where the portion of the blame is. It was such a stupid pass from Trossard, and he wasn't really on it, and he's not a left wing, and whatever. Let's not go into all that. But I just thought it was such a terrible moment from Saliba. I don't know what he was thinking.
It was poor defending. I think we can agree largely on that. But just kind of my last couple of points before I pass over. I think going back to Mikel Arteta, I think he did get his tactics wrong. I don't think it was good enough. I think his subs were wrong. The team didn't feel like they were up for it. I'm going to say this. I thought the performance overall was an absolute disgrace. It wasn't a poor performance. I thought it was unacceptable. Our passing across the whole game but in that first half was absolutely disgusting. It was so unprofessional. It reminded me of the latter Wenger years when Wenger was falling apart at Arsenal. Some of our passing was shocking, even under Unai Emery. The latter days or latter games under Unai Emery, we were soft defensively and we were relying on Aubameyang to score us goals offensively. But the passing was never like that bad. Yesterday's passing was absolutely disgusting, in my opinion. It was. I was watching the game the first time, thinking to myself, this is almost abject. This is almost like a dereliction of duty to not be able to keep the ball for 3 passes. Like, that's Man United in the last year or two. It was so bad and so unrecognizable. And my final point, which has been a couple of players. And someone mentioned Sterling. I thought he was bang average. I thought everyone's like, oh, Sterling was all right. No, he wasn't. I think he beat his man
he was
once.
better than the rest.
It's a low bar, Turkish.
Yeah,
No, it is. But Jordan, that's
the
the
rest. Yeah, I mean, why are you coming off the pitch? That's my point. Like, I'm not saying he was, you know, he having a great 25 minutes.
No, fair enough. But I just hear people saying Sterling was decent. He was lively. No, he wasn't. He was no better than anybody else on that pitch. I thought Marino was absolutely shocking. He was absolutely shocking. I know it's one of he's still warming in, but it was basics. I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't actually know what he was doing. He was really.
I didn't think
bad.
he was shocking.
Oh, he was shocking for me, James. I thought he did nothing. He did nothing.
He ran around.
The problem is that the players that did nothing for me stand above the players that did a load of bad things. Do you know what I mean?
No, but the players that did bad things at least tried to do something.
Everyone looked drunk. Everyone looked drunk on that pitch. I thought Raya was horrific. Passing out the back, flapping at crosses. Congrats on your engagement, man. And you've been one of our players this season. But he was shambolic.
He said the tone was set early on from Ryan.
Yeah, he set the tone with that pass in the first 5 minutes. He set the tone.
No, Mikel sets the tone.
Yes, sorry from the players' point of view. Yes, you're right.
I want to chime in here because James has already mentioned it. But the reality is, like, the reason on one hand we look at Mikel and say, you know, he can be a genius at times and he makes it work is because of the games, you know, that we've gone down to 10, like Brighton, well, not necessarily Brighton, but Man City away from home, and you've got to do a job, and you do a job. But the difference is you got to do a job against a Man City away from home or a Tottenham away from home, or you've got to do a job when you're 1-0 up and you go down to 10 men against Brighton. Those are the times you've got to do a job. I feel like aside from Leicester this season, every other game where Leicester and Villa, I'll give Villa as well, because Villa's a difficult away tie. You're not going to have an abundance of chances, but you know we managed that game well. Aside from those 2 games, I think we have struggled to, James, fluid in transition. It's the same kind of things I was saying early part of last season. Now I had egg on my face come midway point, because after that Fulham loss last season, we didn't lose again up until now, and that's what led us close to the Premier League title. But this is game week 8. This is game week 8. We've suffered this loss in now. And as much as Odegaard being out is a reason why, on behind the numbers, James is showing me how much less we're playing around the back and how much more we're playing in the attacking third. But it also highlights how light we are in that department. Because if you've got to change the way the whole team plays, because you've got one player missing, and before everyone says there was more players, yes, there was, but we've changed the way we've played since Odegaard's been out, or since the season starts. We don't really know whether Odegaard comes back in and we unlock a little, or whether Odegaard comes back in, we're still defensively tight and rigid first and foremost, because it might be Mikel's gap closer this season. But let's say it's because of Odegaard not being there. The creative numbers are never going to be the same, so we've got to think of a different style. That's where we trip over. That's why the squad is light, in my opinion. Man City don't have to do that. Liverpool don't have to do that. Maybe certain positions, yes, but we're up against City. Liverpool are kind of the under the radar one this season. But if we're talking about City, we can't leave ourselves so light in these positions, because Odegaard and Saka being out, those are the difference makers. If Saka played yesterday, we'd probably go on to win that game playing as poorly as we did, because he can.
I don't agree, Turkish. I don't agree. I think we were that bad.
We've seen it before. Southampton, we wasn't as bad as this, but we was poor. We go 1-0 down in the 60th minute, and then Saka is a big part of moments change the game and save the game. We don't.
I think
If it's not
collectively
Saka
we
or
were that bad.
Odegaard, if it's not
Yeah.
Saka or Odegaard, we struggle a hell of a lot.
Turkish, can I just come in there? This debate about the squad it gets on my nerves a little bit now, because when you go, oh, we haven't got a replacement for Saka, we haven't got a replacement for Odegaard. If you get a replacement for them, you're still going to drop a level or two, because they're that good, right? We found a way. We had found a way, really, if we turned around at any point of this season and gone, well, we're missing Odegaard. No, we found a way by putting Trossard in there. It's not ideal. It's not ever going to be as good as Odegaard. Do you know why it's not going to be as good as Odegaard? Because he's one of the best players in Europe in that position. So to find a replacement, doesn't matter what replacement you find, it's not going to be as good as Odegaard. Can we agree with that? It's the same with a second replacement. You're not going to find a better player than Saka to replace.
But
right?
can I say something on that? Because I know why you're saying that, yeah. Because the amount of fans that reply to me with similar rhetoric, I've never asked for like.
No, I know you haven't. So when you find it, you've got it there with Odegaard, and more importantly, you've got it there with a young kid, by the way, who has done more in his cameo performances than Mourinho's ever done. How do you justify putting him in there? I've heard Robbie turn around and go, because he's played there for Spain. I don't give a monkeys if he's played for Spain there. It's what he does for Arsenal, and he hasn't done it. But I'll tell you that now, Trossard has, and I'll tell you something else more importantly, so has Wanyeri. So the option was there to do it. He chose not to do it. That's on him, not on the squad. I agree with what James is saying. What he said yesterday was, I don't trust a 17-year-old kid. I don't trust Trossard, or I don't trust somebody to come in on the wide left. So I'll go in there with a player that's never played there before. And I'll tell you this now, as Jordan turns around and says, we never looked like Parsons, because we didn't have we didn't have the link play between when we broke the lines for someone to get on the ball on the half turn and playing passes to our wide players, because we haven't got no one good enough to do it. And that is down to the manager. He had the options to do it, and he didn't do it. And the reason he didn't do it is because he didn't trust the squad, Turkish. And at long last, you're right. You are right, because he yesterday proved to me that the squad is not strong enough. He made that decision yesterday. If he makes that decision and Wanyeri comes in there and we don't play well, I ain't gonna slaughter Arteta. I'll say he's done the right thing. You didn't do the right things yesterday. And the reason he didn't do it, because he don't trust he had to take Trossard out, who's been doing really well, and play him on the left-hand side, Turkish. That was the problem, because he doesn't trust either Jesus up there or Wanyeri to come into the middle. He chose to take Trossard out there. And that
at the risk of infuriating Lee even more, I slightly disagree. I agree that I don't think the squad is as strong as it probably needs to be, but I'm sorry. I think everybody was poor yesterday. I think apart from Partey and Rice. Yeah, they were the only two that I thought.
Why?
And I thought that.
Why?
Well, hang on. I thought those two were solid. I don't think they were necessarily good, but I thought they were solid.
Yeah.
Right? I thought they were. They were a solid 6 out of 10. Right? Fine. But I think that even with the squad we've got yesterday, if everybody jumps up from a 3 to a 5 or a 5 to a 6 out of 10, we win that game with that same 11 that starts. That midfield is not an ideal midfield, but that midfield and that backline is still good enough for me to get a clean sheet at the bare minimum. And then you're hoping that someone can do something magic up front. So I think that team, I think the squad overall for the season might prove to be not good enough, but it was good enough to win yesterday.
I'll ask you again. Why? Why does Declan Rice and why does Partey play all right? Why did they play all right yesterday?
They're in their positions.
Thank you. They're playing their positions.
That
didn't affect them yesterday. Did Marino play well? Did any of the wide players play well? Havertz? Why didn't he play well? Why did Rice and Partey play well? Because they were playing their normal positions week in, week out.
Yeah, but you guys were
excuses all the time. You know what I mean? Hold your hand up, Arteta, and say, yes, we got it wrong.
But hang on, Lee. He did get it wrong. But equally, you guys were praising Trossard in the 10 for the last 3 or 4 games. That, for me, I thought was a really bad decision, but it worked. That's not his position.
Well, yeah, I know.
think-
Sometimes you have to find ways as a manager. When you listen, yesterday you're playing Bournemouth. Let's get this right. Let's get it into perspective. You're playing Bournemouth. They're still a decent team, Jordan. Right? Yeah. You've lost your best defender. Right. Right. You've gone down to 10 men. You've lost your best defender. You've lost your best attacking midfield player, and you've lost your best forward. Right. It's not going to be easy. We know it's not going to be easy. So, but you have to find a way. And I don't think Trossard is nowhere near in the class of. I'm going to say this now. I think Wanyeri's better than him in that position. What I've seen, if I'll be really honest, but he has found a way to get us results. So you have to turn around and go, do you know what, Mikel? You know, without him, you've gone to places like Tottenham, places like Man City, and got results. Well done. You now come against Bournemouth, and you think you can disrespect them so much by taking players out of here and out of there. I'm sorry, there's no way Trossard should. And listen, people turn around. Oh, you're saying that hindsight. As soon as that team sheet come out, I said it. That ain't right. Yes, we should still win the game, but after 20, 25 minutes, he'd have had to have changed it for us to win that game if it gone to 11 men. So he was wrong.
My big thing recently, and James can testify to this because I've said it on a couple of shows he's been on, is I don't care how we play, win. Yeah. But this
could have won yesterday, Turkish as well, with Martinelli.
Of course, and we're going to get into that. But I don't care how we play, win. But if we don't win, that's where me caring about how we play and
100%
facts come into it. And although we've done well with Trossard in the 10, Trossard is nowhere near Odegaard. He cannot dictate play from that number 10 position. He cannot knit together the defense to midfield to attack. That's why James's numbers on behind the numbers are there, because we've had to bypass a lot of the defense and midfield, because the person that knits it together is Odegaard. He drops deep. He'll bring the defense to midfield to attack. He's dictating the play. And Ranieri is definitely a more suited 10 from what I've seen already, because Trossard is not. But I also understand not relying upon a 17-year-old, because I said going into the season, we shouldn't be doing that. And, push come to shove, 8 games in, even 6-7 games in, I was entertaining in Ranieri starts against Leicester, Southampton. Now, if he did start against the Leicester, Southampton, and then he came on against the Bournemouth, then I'd be like, okay, you've trusted him to start a game, then he's coming on. Ranieri comes on when we're 2-0 down. That is not ideal for Mikel Arteta, for sure. But what Mikel did signing that contract this season is put it all on himself, because he didn't talk about the transfer window after. He was happy with it come the end of it, apparently. And he signed a contract now that puts it all on him. So all the pressure he's going to get now off the back of this, and even the press conference, I didn't like it. One thing about Pep, and we've likened Mikel to Pep a lot over the years, is Pep will say it as it is more often than not. If his team puts in a performance like we did, he will say that is shit. And he will call out a few things. Mikel protected a hell of a lot of them yesterday by making it about the 65 minutes with 10 men. What about the 35 with 11, Mikel?
But that Turkish is unusual for him, because I disagree. I've heard him call out Arsenal after performances plenty of times. Yesterday, he had a shocker. Before the game, during the game, after the game, I agree. But I don't think it's fair to say that he often protects the team. I've heard him batter Arsenal in press conferences when we played poorly plenty of times. Yes. Yesterday wasn't, for me, an anomaly.
Not that he's needed to, because we haven't played shit much in the past 2.5 years. But
no, but I'm chatting about over his tenure. We've performed poorly in games.
But come out, Jordan. You know my problem. Come out and say it's not good enough. Not in Spanish, not in Roman, not in French. Say it in plain English. It's not good enough. Because you keep on talking about 10 men, it gets into the player's head.
Yeah.
And it's me. Oh, there is something against us already walking onto the pitch. Oh, shit, we're down to 10. The manager's bringing on a centre back. It's all hands on deck. It gets into the player's head. So the tone is set from Mikel. And I can praise him and say, he's a genius for some of the things he's done in the last 3 years. But I'm equally going to be vexed with him for some of this bullshit that he fails to call out. Because he mentioned Trossard's pass back to Saliba. That was a stupid pass. Saliba's pullback, he protects it again because it's a split second. I get that. I understand it. But off the back of that performance, there was nothing in the way of harsh criticism in that press conference. It was very much protective.
No,
I don't think it's the right way to be making these players feel when you're going
he
up
should have gone
against.
in.
We're gonna
He
be
should-
licking wounds all season with this mentality. One game
I
it
agree.
was 10 men. One game it was a bad tackle there. One game it was unfortunate low block. Forget the licking wounds mentality now. It's about accountability. And yesterday, Mikel should have been more accountable in that
Agreed.
on himself because the team selection was a problem. I didn't think it was as big a problem as it turned out to be. His substitution was a problem. Explain why you took off Sterling. Explain that, Mikel. Why did you? What was you doing that? Tells everyone what it is for the rest of the season, because it's Bournemouth.
I also feel like with his, we talked about the 11, but I also felt with his subs, he didn't quite commit to anything. So if he'd gone to a 5-3-1, for example, I think people would have been critical because, it's a back five away at Bournemouth. Why so defensive? But that weirdly makes you a better attacking outfit because what you've got is wing backs that can get forward and still leave plenty behind. And what you do is you create triangles more naturally across the pitch. So he didn't quite commit. He went to a 4-4-1. I mean, bringing Kivior on just felt so negative because you could have just kept to the 4-4-1 by moving either Rice centre back or Partey right back. You could have done one of those things, and you didn't. You opted to bring on Kivior, which felt so negative. But you didn't quite want to commit to getting the right players around the box, and make that bank of five so you're really solid. Which means you wanted to leave something going forward, but then took Sterling off, who is kind of your only pace. He's kind of your only outlet. He's the only ability to go from one end of the pitch to the other quite quickly. Basically, when you're down to 10 men, Trossard's like the last person I want on the pitch, bar the fact that maybe he's the kind of person who can put the ball in the top corner out of nothing.
I was going to say, let's be fair. It takes off Trossard, you're taking off your best finisher. So maybe
Jordan, you take off Trossard, you take away the guy that fucked about.
Yeah, that's also true.
How are you leaving him on the pitch? And then when Trossard does come off, he's coming off arrogant. He's coming off. You can see in his head, why am I coming off? Why are you coming off? The question is, why are you starting at the moment? And you're not. Listen, Trossard was trash. He played well in the 10. He's not good enough to hold that position down in Odegaard's absence, especially against teams like this. When it comes to you have to open. So I get why Mikel did move him to the wing. What I don't get is why you did it with the lack of options in the middle that you don't want to take the risk on, like Ranieri.
Just back to that, what he did with 10 men, right? I mean, being boring and tactical. If you go 5-3-1, I know I just said you create triangles, but basically when you're a 4-4-1, you're kind of in. It's very difficult to create triangles that way, unless Havertz comes over. And maybe you can get an overlapping fullback, but then White doesn't want to get too far forward because you're leaving Kivior exposed in your back three, whatever. When you create a 5, so if he'd done this, for example, right, taken who was sent off again? So Saliba was sent off. It's quite hard to remember. So you take off I don't know, Sterling, whatever. If he'd ended up with, say, Zinchenko and Sterling, that's it. If he ended up with Zinchenko and Sterling as your wing backs, with Calafiori, Gabriel, White, what you've got there is you've got your 5 with, say, Partey, Marino, Rice in front as a 3 and a 1 in Havertz. That's pretty hard to play through and break down. But you've got something in Zinni and Sterling going the other way. So maybe if you get up the pitch, they are happy to go forward and provide some width because you've got plenty behind. You've got Bournemouth going, there's still a threat here because if they string 1 or 2 passes, Sterling might still be in behind. Havertz might still have a little bit of support. One of the midfielders is happy to break forward because there's still 3 centre-backs behind. So to go with the 4-4-1, and by the way, for anyone who's going, James, you're overthinking it, Arteta's given us these answers. This has been Arteta's go-to. Against Brighton, we created 2 brilliant chances because Saka, who moved into a midfield 3, was able to break at times with Havertz. Why? Because there was plenty behind, and we had Calafiori and Timber as the fullbacks going forward. I remember away at Anfield, we went down to 10 men in the Carabao Cup, and again, we went to a 5-3-1, and we were able to spring 1 or 2 counterattacks purely because of the natural shape of the team. He left us in a position where we couldn't read. You could see the players were so tentative to do anything. And ultimately, he weakened the personnel on the pitch by by getting Kivior on for Raheem Sterling. It was a really, really weird one from Mikel.
Totally agree. And the other side of it is you've got Ben White, who, all right, didn't have a great game, but he's decent enough defender. You still got Calafiori in there. You still got Gabriel in there. You still got the three holding midfield players. You didn't, and you still felt that you needed to bring another defensive player on. I don't know about Thomas Partey going at right back, but you could have kept Ben White over there. You could have brought Trossard back into a sort of wing backish, sort of left backish sort of place. Like Calafiori could have come into the centre, who's played centre half many times. You could have actually played Calafiori as the wing back or the wide player and all that. Didn't they? And the one thing that what he done, which people don't realise, what by taking Sterling off, what did that tell Bournemouth? I'll tell you what it told Bournemouth. We can push right up to the halfway line here now, because we know that if the ball does go over the top, we know Havertz hasn't got the pace to get onto it. But if you'd have left it there, and it's funny that when Martinelli come on, the whole crowd got a lift and all that, because there was that threat then. There was a threat. There wasn't, and all of a sudden they drop back a little bit and we get the chance because they make the mistake. But what I'm saying is they knew straight away then, right, we can go right into their half here. Oh, we haven't got to worry about pace behind that. He completely got it wrong.
I think we're with 10 men out of possession. I know yesterday was not evidence of it, but I'm thinking back to Palace away last year when we won 1-0. I'm thinking City away. I'm thinking Brighton this season. Out of possession with 10 men, we're still very good at finding a structure and being quite difficult to beat. I know Bournemouth wasn't evidence, like I said, but that's something. Out of possession with 10 men, I still think we're actually a very good side. But in possession with 10 men, I think we're one of the worst teams in the world for the level we should for the level we should be at. Arsenal, and this probably predates Arteta a little bit, when we go down to 10 men, my word, we have this inferiority complex. It's almost like the game's lost. We can't do anything now. And I forgave that again when it was Brighton, because Brighton are a very good attacking side that create overloads and they get extra players around you and they can make it really difficult. And we had a lead to protect, like you mentioned earlier, Turkish. And I can forgive it at Man City. I can uber forgive it to the point where we didn't even leave a striker up front and I forgave it. But in this situation, an hour to play, just to settle yourselves at 0-0, they didn't score for 40 minutes after that. And we did nothing. Well, no, we didn't do nothing. Martinelli had a chance. And listen, if Martinelli takes that, we then go into a shape, and then you're going, well done, smash and grab. We showed character. But that would have been an unfair reflection of the game, because we weren't showing character. We weren't showing any of those things. And it worries me that do you guys think Man City win that game if they're going to 10 men?
Yes.
I think
Liverpool,
they still find a way to implement their football somehow. Yeah, Liverpool definitely. I think Liverpool of the three are the more likely to still show something. So why is it that
Luton last season? If you remember rightly, against Luton, do you remember? Had Basuma sent off halfway through the first half, found a way to win the game because they went. Not have Tottenham as a template, but you know what I'm saying. It doesn't mean you don't win a game because you go down to 10 men. You find go for it. I never thought we was going to lose that game yesterday. Just go for it a little bit more. And that, I blame everything on Arteta.
I think Arteta had a shocker. We can agree that he had an absolute mare yesterday, right? So
he wasn't the only one.
He had a shot, but he's the manager, so I'm the first one to praise him when he gets it right. So I'm putting this completely at his door, right? The tone was set by him. The substitutions were poor. The lineup was weird. And the post-match, as Turkish said, he was being kind when I don't think he should have been. I agree with that. A couple of things though. First of all, we've gone from being, in terms of discipline, the best in the league to now maybe the worst. That's our third red card this season in what, 8 games? I don't think we had one last year. I don't think we had one last year in the entire season.
No, so, I think we had one, but in the season before that we had none. Yeah.
Oh,
Two.
yeah.
Tomiyasu and Vieira were sent off in the league last year, but
Tomiyasu very harshly.
we won those games.
Can someone edit this bit out of the pod so we can just not mug myself off that one?
They don't expect anything.
No, but you're right. But 2 over 38 games for me is good discipline. That's fine. That's decent discipline, especially when one was really harsh. The season before that, we had none. Now we've got 3 in 8 games. So your point absolutely applies.
It's not good enough. Another thing, just more widely, I think it was touched on earlier on. We have actually played well for 90 minutes in the league this season, and performances. I always bang on about performances matter, and in the context of the league, you know, time recording, Liverpool are going to play in a few hours' time. We've got them next week as well. I think Liverpool are in a title race, but again, if we're not careful, we're going to give ourselves a problem whereby we can't give ourselves any wiggle room. I don't think we can afford between now and Christmas. Certainly, I don't think we've got any wiggle room now. And I think it's about being in touch. You haven't got to be top come Christmas, right? But you got to be in the mix. But we've got to step it up quick, guys, because right about now, it's not, something isn't right. I know Odegaard is out.
Sorry to break this, but you know, this club, they don't want to win. The summer showed this. So we can do all this conversation. We can hope the title race begins game week 19 and we're part of it. But everything we've talked about in the first 8 game weeks, whether it's the praise at, you know, being backs against the wall against Tottenham and Man City and pulling out results, or what we're talking about today in regards to Bournemouth, it's 8 game weeks in. 8. We ain't winning this league because of what we didn't do in the summer. It's going to be a roller coaster. In 3 weeks, 4 weeks, people will remind me of this clip like they reminded me of the clip a few weeks ago. This ain't me giving up. I predicted we'd finish second at the start of the season. Can we win it? Yes. But chips have to fall in our favor with Man City and now Liverpool because they've started the season well. But this ain't a 90-point season coming from this Arsenal side.
Yeah.
So we have to hope that Man City don't get 90, which they've got every single season for a little while. Actually, they didn't the season before last because we didn't need them to. So we are relying upon them. So the reality is, in a few weeks, we'll be talking differently. We might beat Liverpool next week, and you know that gap is closed to 1 point if they go beat Chelsea, and so on. And then we go and build a little run, beat Chelsea, at the bridge or wherever it is in a few weeks, and then it'll look a bit better again. But when you're this close to everything having to change, when you're an Odegaard injury away from playing the ball up long to the attacking third because we don't have the player to bring it through the middle, it's a massive concern. Massive. We haven't even discussed, and I don't want to discuss, but we haven't even discussed Havertz. And this is partly my problem with it because he's our highest paid player, but he's a ghost when the other people around him that can unlock him are not present. That's not right for a highest paid player. I expect my striker, who's paid more money than anyone else, to be able to get a yard of space and get a shot on goal, even if it is a poor 90-minute game from the squad. Sometimes it relies upon those moments. Now, I don't want to make this about Havertz. I just want that to come up because nobody talks about it when it's gone this way. Nobody talks about it. 275 a week, 65 M's coming in, playing up front. This is the type of game you want a striker to pull you out of because you're not playing well. But it's not on him because we don't have the transition call. But what I'm saying is people shouldn't go wild with praising him if he's on his own up there, when he doesn't have the quality around him, which you could argue a lot of players, if they don't have the quality around them, they won't do what they need to do. Well, he's not worth the money then.
Listen, Church, the conversation we're having now, right? We should have in.
And don't get me started on Martinelli because that guy's not going to miss it today. We've got 10 minutes left. And that guy, I'm sick. I'm sick because that finish... this close, Martinelli. This close.
Yeah, and these conversations come up, right? These conversations come up after the Chelsea game. Our next 3 games will determine everything now because Jordan's right. Can't afford to miss that. Liverpool home, Newcastle away, Chelsea away, right? That is a massive, massive 3 games, right? And at the end of it, we could be sitting here going, well, fantastically well. It's just a blip against Bournemouth, or we could be sitting here going, title's over. That is as simple as it is. And yeah, listen, for all the crap that we had on yesterday's performance, as bad as it was and everything like that, Martinelli takes that chance, we win that game. 100%. So, and he has to take that, Turkish. And I'm sorry, you can talk about Havertz and all that, like, if you've got, and I agree with this, like, if you've got Haaland up there or somebody like that, we just said about, do you go as defensive as we did? do you go as defensive as we did? Like, you know, you turn around and go, do you know what? I've got an Henry up front, or I've got a top player. I'll tell you what, I'm going to back him and let's try and get the attacking thing. And that maybe because, as we said with the squad, maybe Havertz isn't the answer, because yesterday you decided to not embrace the attacking side of the game. You went in the defensive. Now, for Havertz, didn't do a lot. The reasons that is, Turkish, because he was so isolated, didn't play to his strengths whatsoever. And that's it.
Can I date back this problem? And again, it's not about Havertz. It's
no,
about,
I agree with you. I'm sticking up, but I can't argue. Okay?
Our transfer window to go and win the league was the 2023 transfer window. And I think the 2024 one indicated that by the lack of spend in certain areas. We spent the majority of that let's go win the league money in 2023 with Havertz and Rice. So we're still looking at that summer transfer window. And Rice, he's been poor this season. I think Havertz has been better than Rice this season. So it's not like Rice is going to go amiss with his criticism. He has. It's just yesterday, it doesn't warrant criticism. He was one of two players really trying. But I look at that window now. Okay, you brought in a 100 million midfielder and you brought in a 65 million highest paid player that's now up front. And we've gone into the next season happy with that. Cool. That's fine. But when these things are like, when your back's against the wall and Odegaard and Saka's out, am I wrong in saying, where's our highest paid player? Am I wrong in saying that? Because you can't be the highest paid player when other people are unlocking you. How?
I'm with you, Turkish. The only reason I would give him yesterday, I'm with your overall point that your top earner in those kinds of games, you want to be the difference, right? If that, I think back to Van Persie, the amount of times we played poorly away from home.
Yeah.
But Van Persie would get one chance, bang, you nick a win. You need that from Havertz. The only reason I'd give him a slight pass is 10 men. If that same performance happens with 11 men, I'm looking at Havertz a lot more. Yeah. Because it's 10 men, I give him a slight pass yesterday. Just a slight pass.
But I think that's Turkish's point. If you don't mind, I think it's more... And actually, Turkish, with all due respect, I don't quite agree, but I see where you're coming from, which is the investment that's gone into a player. That player should be able to have decisive moments and moments that when it gets tough, like away in the Premier League with 10 men, that's when that quality shines through. I actually forgive him for a different reason, which is that I felt he did that 2 weeks ago against Southampton. Mm-hmm. I felt he was the one that when I'm dragging us back into this and was brilliant and has been brilliant all season. That's the only reason why I'm sort of inclined to go. He's not one to shy away. Not this season. Last season maybe, but this season he's not been one to shy away from it and not try. So he just had a bad day for me.
I don't want to talk about Havertz again. Someone talked about Martinelli because I need Martinelli. Let's forget Havertz.
Can I just say? Go on, John. You go.
No, you carry on.
I was just going to say, and again, I'm making myself very unpopular in this podcast. As probably the one person on this podcast that's not signed up to that Martinelli fan club, I thought the heat for the miss was a bit excessive. Should he score it? Yes. It's not a shocker. I think the bigger miss is Marino. I think the Marino miss is worse.
Jordan, you've lost your absolute mind in Vegas. You need a flight back and go to that hotel because you've left something there, bro.
Turkish. Should he score it? Yes. It's not a sitter.
What's not a sitter?
It's not a sitter for me.
Bro,
it's not a sitter for me.
The ball is in the middle. Perfect for Mikel Marino. Perfect.
Turkish. Someone's come across him. Look, if that's Isak, if that's Haaland,
from over here.
I don't know. If that's Salah, maybe because I don't hold Martinelli to the esteem that everybody else does. I'm not giving him the same level of heat and expectation that I think you guys are. If that's Isak, if that's Haaland, if that's Salah, it's got to be a goal. It's got to be a goal. But it's Martinelli, so I don't expect Martinelli to be that bagsman to finish that chance. Should he score it? Probably yes, but I don't think it's a sitter. I think the Marino one is worse.
No, which one? The first half?
Yeah.
What's the Marino one? I don't even remember that.
He dragged it near post. He tried. It was unlucky. He should have got it on target, but But there was a defender in front of him. He's not a striker. He's not an attacker.
He's 6 yards out.
No, I'm saying he should have got it on target, fine. But Martinelli's you're an attacker. It's a clear chance. It's in the middle of the goal. So you can go bottom right, top right. You can go left, top left. You can dink him. You can probably take a touch and round the fucker. You hit it down the middle.
Yeah, it was a really
And I'm
poor
a Martinelli fan. But
It was-
anyone can get it. And he's 23 now. The guy's not a youth anymore. So
Key
I'm sorry,
moments.
Martinelli. A few more of those, mate. Because actually, we all said it. I said in the summer, we need to upgrade in that department.
So did I. And I also said 18 months ago, I said my main criticism of Martinelli is his decision making. I said that 18 months ago. The reason I'm skeptical about him is his decision making is not good. He's quick.
I'd have been more peeved if he'd put it over the bar or something. He did get it on target at the end of the day.
If he'd hit the stands, yeah, that would have been even worse.
You know,
I mean,
but no, he did get it on time. He made the keeper make a save, but I'm with you on that. It was a key moment.
But can I say,
He
guys,
should score. I
have to say, and I know we've mentioned some of these other players. It's a really bad miss from Martinelli. I think he has to score that. He's good enough to as well. But here's my only thing I would say, people. I think we only mentioned Havertz, and okay, it was a mention. And now we talked about the Martinelli miss, but I'm so much more disappointed in Saliba made the biggest error of the day. For me, that was by far the biggest error of the day. Like Kivior, what a terrible pass. I actually think he did okay up to that moment, but it's a shambolic pass. David Raya was a disaster. White spent the whole second half getting skinned by Uatara, if I pronounced that right. Got destroyed down that right-hand side. I've got more energy for other players. And what I am glad we spent a lot of time talking about Arteta, because I think love Arteta. And I'm glad you mentioned that he's a genius for a lot of other things, but you got this one wrong and we're mentioning it. But while I agree, I feel like a lot of other players just look drunk. Like, honestly, they just weren't at the races from first touch to passes to ideas. Yeah. Martinelli missed a chance, but I'm not saying I can forgive it. It's a bad miss, but it's like attackers can miss. I don't expect people might think, why are you going so hard on Saliba? Because I just think there's so much more he could have done in that situation. And I'm just worried that we're giving a little too much energy to those that they don't mean to miss, but he meant to foul him. Why did he do that? That's so weird.
I don't agree.
He meant to foul him, James.
You don't think he did?
No, I mean, it's a split second. Trossard's put him in it. He's turned around. It's one little tap on the shoulder. I think it's unfair. I think Lee brought Mustafi. Mustafi would have been humping the guy on the floor on his back. So it would have been free red. Saliba turns around and he just touches his shoulder because he's panicked. He's thinking, shit, what a shit ball from Trossard. Let me get back in. That little touch, one little touch. It wasn't like he held him.
The forward knew what he was doing as well. The forward knew what he was doing as well.
But I can listen, he's at fault for it 100%. But I can excuse a split-second decision where I can understand your thought process or the lack of it in that split second. I can understand, but I'm not excusing him 100%. I mean, of all our red cards this season, that is the one that hands up. Don't talk about PGMOL. Don't talk about VAR or nobody. That is a red card.
I also think I was trying to stick up for him. I do think there was genuine injuries on Havertz, genuine injuries on White, because they weren't quite at it.
Yeah, White.
Well, and clearly the Saka one is pretty genuine too.
Yeah, I said that. So maybe there's something in that. So listen, those are the games when you have to say, look, hold your hands up. We ain't played well. Dust yourselves down. Go and beat Liverpool. Go and beat Newcastle. Go and beat Chelsea and prove us all wrong.
Lee, you touched on something. Sorry, now I'm longing this out now, and I'm the one that needs to go. But Lee touched on something about 10 minutes ago that I think is really poignant, which is I do think the nature of the fixture list affects how you view a certain result. And I think if we basically had Leicester and Southampton at home to come, I think we'd still feel the same about everything, but with the hope of bounce back. You had a shitter, on we go. It's what's coming that makes it feel like it's not out of this world to say we could go winless in 4, which would be unacceptable in a title race. Now, I don't think we will. I think we're too good, and I think we'll bounce back. Arsenal and Arteta have shown a bounce back ability, but the nature of the fixture list affects how you kind of view the game. And I'm very much trying to just chalk this down as we had a bad game. We had a really bad day, from Arteta to the players to the mistakes in front of goal, at the back, everything. I've not known a title winner to not have a bad day at some point in those 38 games. What Arsenal need to do now is respond right, is not have basically any more of those. I think you're allowed 2 a season. That's it, maybe. And the only other thing is, I'd really like Arsenal to start nicking points from games where they deserve to lose. That's a big thing for me. I know
Villa.
Sorry?
Villa, to be fair.
Villa?
With the Watkins should have put us to bed.
Oh.
No, we won that, but I actually still thought we were the better team in that. I'm talking games like last season, Fulham away, where we were poor, but can you just have a bad day and come out with a point? At least put a point on the board and just go, guys, we've had a bad day, but you know what? We're still unbeaten. You got a draw, shocker, but let's move on. And I think City are much better at doing that than we are. They can have a bad day. Like, guys, when they draw a game, we rejoice. Yes, they drop points. They haven't lost since December 6th. They've only got a calendar year without losing in the Premier League. Like, we appreciate that. Whereas we have a bad day, we're sitting there going, guys, in 2024, we've only lost twice, Fulham away and Villa at home. That's amazing. Well done. That's actually really good. But City have gone since December 6th, 2023.
I think the sad thing as well is,
The
sad thing
it goes under the radar because
it's for them it's normal. It's just like we just don't lose games. The sad thing is that,
but that's why this is so. That's why these moments are, because we will inevitably get it's one of those negative podcasts in the comment section. I switched off early, it's too negative for me. Calm down, guys, it's only game week 8. Take it easy.
I don't think we will take it, I don't think
100% we will. Do you know how many tap fans we have out there? 100% we will. I'll make it comments of the day next week. Yeah, you want to see it? I will unravel a whole sheet of paper. You're gonna get it 100%.
See, now they're gonna type it just to prove you right. They're gonna get a stream of comments. But I was going to say, the sad thing for me is that after coming through a really difficult week, Spurs, Atalanta, City, and Villa, this is meant to be like our easy period. And I think we've made hard work of it. Southampton, Leicester, and now Bournemouth. This is meant to be our kind of like, phew, we can, you know what I mean, flex a little bit. And Southampton, Leicester, we won those games. I don't think we were great. over those 180 minutes, I mean, to lose this one, and now we're going to another period where you're now back on the whole can't drop points. You know, who is it? Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle. You got to win 3 of those games for me. So that's for me. It feels like every game now is either you have to be at 99%, and that's not sustainable in my opinion.
We've got Shakhtar coming up. That's our next game, Champions League back. So
who gives a shit?
That's kind of the feeling right now. But what do we do? I mean,
Turkish. I'm my head's on Liverpool already. Sorry,
I hate
Liverpool already. I don't care. Liverpool already.
How do we best? One question then? How do we best prep this midfield for Liverpool? Because do we go again with it? That I just want to say on the all up, I don't think Mikel Merino had as bad a game as not just you, but a lot of people are saying. And I think if Martinelli scores that chance, he's actually taken a great touch, Mikel, and passed it into him beautifully.
Thank you, Turkish. I'm with you,
close. And he had a nice few touches, and he had a nice few moments where he protected the ball and spun players that I haven't seen any of our midfielders do. So I'm going to take the positives in that. I'm going to say I want to see him start against Liverpool. But I think Ranieri should start against Shakhtar because I think we need to find the mobile solution in the number 10 role.
And I'll tell you what he needs to do and all is Saliba doesn't play Tuesday, in my opinion. Play the centre half that's playing against Liverpool. Get a partnership going there, whoever it's going to be.
I agree with that.
Get your back four.
I totally agree with that.
That's going to play against Liverpool. Use it as a game. So I don't want to see Saliba playing. So let's see if you're big and bold enough to do that, Mikel. Put in who you're going to play.
Is it 1 game or 3 games?
1 game.
1. And I don't want to see Kivior right centre back because when he came on, for God's sake, he could have came back off.
Whoever it is, whether it's Timber at the back, Ben White at the centre half, play the partnership. So I think it would have been Tommy Asu if he'd have been fit, but he ain't fit. So you play that back 4 that you're playing against Liverpool. And that means Saliba, you missed out on this game as well, and you'll be back for when it.
Who would you play centre back, Timber or White? Because I think Timber will be fit.
I'd play White.
Centre back, I would too.
I would play White as well, and Timber at right back.
Yeah.
That would be.
By the way, my expectations for Liverpool haven't changed. I still want us to win that.
You have to beat them. You have to beat them.
Oh yeah, but like, you know what I mean. But I'm want to win this game with one eye on that.
I actually think that's a great point, Lee. I actually think you said, listen, William, Saliba, listen, his place in the starting 11 is not in question. I think you could argue for him being our best player, but he sits this out because we need to get valuable 90 minutes at the Emirates in a new partnership.
And this is the reason why you signed Calafiore and why I'm a little bit less concerned about Saturday's game or whenever it is next week. Because if Saka's out, I'm concerned. If even Havertz is out because Jesus is dog, I'm concerned. But with Saliba out, you've got enough options defensively for me to still keep Liverpool at bay. I expect to beat Liverpool next week, even without Saliba. Saliba's our best player. So you want him in that team, of course you do. But we're stacked defensively to the point where even without Saliba, I still expect a strong back four.
How many goals we conceded now this season? 7.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of goals. 7 in 8 games.
I think 8 goals we've conceded.
I think it is.
Listen, going down to 10 men, it's no coincidence we've won every game with 11. We haven't with 10. This gets some perspective into it. It does. You are playing against the odds. Let's be honest. So we have to accept that.
Yeah, but it's self-inflicted. I'm
not saying how it is. It is what it is. You have to hold your hands up and say that.
So, predictions. On the app, I went for 4-0 Arsenal. I think we'll respond.
I'm going 4-0 too.
But just you asked about how we fix this number 10 thing. Listen, pick 2 of Partey, Rice, Marino to start this game.
Yep.
Any 2 of the 3. I don't mind. But it's all about profiles for me. Such an underrated part of the game. If you have profiles that fit the areas of the pitch they're playing in, that's why Trossard isn't a natural 10, but I'm not that surprised it worked, because where does he do his best football? On the interior, in central spaces, in the attacking third. So I'm not that surprised he can have an impact and score a goal against Leicester and put Martinelli in behind against Tottenham. I'm not surprised he can do things like that, because that's the area of the pitch I think he plays best. You go with one of Waneri or Trossard. I'd like it to be Waneri. I don't think it will be. So maybe go for Trossard. But out wide, my word, get some pace in that team. Whether it is Sterling on the left and Jesus on the right, I know that's uninspiring for some. I hope it's Saka and I hope it's Martinelli. Actually, it should be Martinelli. But just get profiles on the pitch. If you want pace out wide, get pace out wide. You know, if you're expecting your third attacking midfielder to be the one that kind of recreates and make things happen in the final third, then get a player who does that. I agree with you. I don't think Marino was that bad, but it's not what he naturally does.
Yeah.
And yes, that's pretty much it. Look, we had a bad day. My feelings on the season haven't drastically changed, but I think it's heaped immense pressure on the next 3 Premier League games.
Can I just ask?
But you know the problem with what you just said, James, is we both predicted second. So I know you said your opinions haven't really changed, but that's also the problem, because us predicting finishing second, you would have wanted our opinions to change. Whereas, all right, if we all predicted first, I think our opinions might have changed. But we already went into the season thinking, holy shit.
My opinion that we're good enough to win the league.
I guarantee you that it changes. It changes. You know what I mean? Like, just see what happens in the next 3 games. If we win all those 3 games, we're back in it, boys. There's no 2 ways about it.
I want us, though, as a club, the fans can feel how the fans feel. We're fans, right? But I want the club to just channel this inner resilience in which Man City last season won the title. They lost their first game of the season away at Wolves, I think from 1-0 up, or certainly went to 1-1. No, went to 1-1. But they lost 2-1 at Wolves, which is a bad result. And then they came to the Emirates and lost in what was a head-to-head with their biggest title challenges. That's 2 defeats. And guys, if we had that set of results, we would be saying we're not good enough to win the league. What did City do? They bounced back, resilient. They won the league. We need to show some of that resilience as a team now. They need to come through and go, we've had our bad day. I remember Man United under Fergie losing at Bolton. I remember loads of teams that have gone over the years. They've won titles and they've had shitters. I think Man City, with the year they went head-to-head with Liverpool, I think they won it on 98 points, 97, all that. I think they lost 3 and 4 games around a Christmas period. Palace, Chelsea, and a few others. Leicester. Like, so you can have a really bad day, but it's up to Arsenal now to show that they've evolved beyond the bad days of last season that cost us and showed us that they can put together the kind of run and show the resilience to go, it was a bad day, but it's not going to cost us.
That's right, because if you remember rightly, we lost to Fulham. No, sorry, we lost to West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We lost to Fulham. And then we lost to Liverpool in the Cup. Let's see, exactly. So let's see if they are learning and Arteta's learning as well. At the end of the day, we're all got the hump because of what's happened and the way we lost and all that lot. But let's back the team still. I'm going to say it now. Put it out there. I think we've beat Liverpool, Newcastle, and Chelsea because of yesterday.
Ooh.
We need some magic in the midfield, but hopefully that arrives. The table is as is, people. No one got the correct result.
That's a shocker.
Nah. Who would have thought it? Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 0. But James, kick us off. You're top of the league, so Shakhtar prediction.
Yeah, 4-0. I want us to really bounce back and remind everyone what we're about. Play some good football.
I was going 4-0, so I'll go 4-1.
4-1. Lee?
I'm going to go 2-0, and mainly because of the reason I think that they make a few changes and conserve energy for Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1. I don't think we've got enough creativity in the side. Ranieri starts, maybe, but yeah, I think we're struggling right now. So we've all gone for wins, but yeah, very different score lines. Obviously, people, you can predict in the comments, but more importantly, download the AFTV Plus app and you can predict on the Fourever predictor. Jordan.
Sorry, bro. Aren't we doing the watch along?
Yeah, Tuesday. Tuesday for Shakhtar. Yeah. Well, actually, I heard Lee's trying to leave us for that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Lee, man.
Also, it's true. Let me tell you, lot, something. He got offered his Diamond Club shit again. He called up and he said, you know that Fourever watch along we're gonna do. I can't do it.
Disgrace.
You think this guy hasn't been Diamond Club enough already as it is?
Disgrace. One for the team, Lee. One for the team.
Well, it's a home. I've not missed a home game for a very, very long while. If it was an away game, I'd have done it. You know what I mean? But come on, give me a bit of that. You know what I mean? I'm a season ticket holder. You know,
Disgrace.
I love you guys. But,
why don't you give someone less fortunate a chance?
Like me.
No, not like Jordan.
I've got a spare ticket, Jordan. I've got a spare ticket, Jordan. Do you want to know?
I would love to, Lee. I would love to.
Let's end with comments of the day.
Shit, I haven't got.
Oh yes, that's -1. I'm doing.
Oh yes, that's -1.
That's -1.
So I'll go first and give Jordan a chance then.
Please, please.
The shock on Lee's face when Jordan was saying grown men shouldn't wear jerseys outside and it's childish is absolutely hilarious. I couldn't believe you said that. I could not believe you said that.
Yeah.
I got a lot of heat for that.
Rightly so. Rightly
just
so.
How I feel.
You insulted 99% of football fans.
Yeah.
Everyone collectively going, what do you say?
It's actually like not. It wasn't like I was sort of like bad for us thinking, why would you do that? You know, why would you just upset the whole fan? Not just the Arsenal fan base, the whole everybody fan base. Why would you do that? Like, you know.
And then he said he wore the one we've just gone and lost in. Like, just throw that shirt away.
Yeah, just throw that, burn that thing, will you?
For fuck's sake, man. My one was actually on the same subject. Chinksy Media said, imagine Jordan telling Turkish bracket a man with more Arsenal shirts than he's had hot dinners that grown men shouldn't wear football shirts.
As his shirt collection.
But you collect them.
Yeah. You very rarely see me in a football
I have seen him wearing one, you childish man.
Jordan should have sat there and just gone, I just think guys, you know, with club crests behind them and posters and microphones, just embarrassing. We're adults.
Baseball caps, a lot. It's
you know
what I mean? He wears baseball caps.
Honestly.
I like this one from Bets11 as well. Why does no one correct Lee when he says Mourinho? It's Marino. Bets, the show's already over an hour. You want us to be here for 2 hours correcting every single English word Lee
I've
butchers
got him right
or
every
name
single
Lee
game.
butchers.
Every single time I've got Mourinho right this time. Like, can we have a bit of credit for that this week?
Yeah,
please?
you've done well this one. You've done
Thank
well.
you.
Nothing will ever beat Vincenzus,
I remember that.
which
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, might have been Robbie's.
No, but Shinchenko was a classic. as well.
Zinchenko killed
Yeah,
me.
there are some world class ones. Who was it? Was he trying to say?
I thought you had
who
to
he
get
called
out,
it?
Jan. I
Did
thought
he-
you
did
had
he
to get
call-
out early, like,
Did you call Kiv your caveat or something?
I think he did.
Karaoke, I call him.
Karaoke.
Yeah,
Oh my
yesterday,
God.
like, yeah, I mean, give us the mic.
I'll go. Go on.
Oh, sorry, just quick. Aaron says, it's a quote. James was saying something, but I've forgotten what it was. But I agree with James. It's Pete Jordan. It's true. You do that a lot. I can't remember who said it or what you said, but I agree. And then you make a completely different point.
Yeah, just want to go on what James has said. I completely agree.
Yeah. I don't know what he said, but I agree. I've just got here from Harry Shark 5459. Turkish and Jordan are clueless. Just thought I'd add that in there. So it's not just me.
That made you feel good with me being with you in the sentence, didn't it?
It's not just me.
Yeah,
All you ball knowledge merchants in the chat. Talk about ball knowledge today after the mess we saw yesterday. You little nerds always talking about ball knowledge this, ball knowledge that. Give me fucking ball knowledge in the comments this week. Teach me what I didn't see yesterday, please. Sorry.
Anyway, I'm off to play football. Well done, everyone. Great
Well
podcast.
done.
Nice one.
Enjoyed
I
Enjoyed
that.
can't believe it. The top comment last week was about Turkish and the growth, and none of you motherfuckers picked it.
I actually saw that one, but I deliberately